This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
Welcome to the X-Zone, everyone. My name is Rob McConnell, and for the next 4 hours, I'm your host and your guide as together we cross the time-space continuum to this place that I call the X-Zone. It's a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. It's a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. And when the X-Zone comes to you Monday through Friday from 10 p.m. Eastern until 2 a.m. Eastern on the Talkstar Radio Network and our fine family of broadcast affiliates across Canada, the United States, Central America, the Caribbean, South America, the Pacific Rim, 20 Asian countries, and across Europe. If you'd like to give us a call, our toll-free number is 1-877-528-8255. Now, that is toll-free throughout the U.S., Canada, Alaska, and Hawaii at 1-877-528-8255. My email address, xzone@talkstarradio.com. And you can chat with us, listen to us, and watch us from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada at www.xzonetv.com. And our main site is xzoneradio.com. On tonight's show, a good friend of mine joins me in the first hour. Her name is P.M.H. Atwater. We're going to be talking about the Big Book of Near-Death Experiences, the ultimate guide to what happens when we die. Hour number 2, Dr. Harold Katz will be joining me, the 10 germiest places in your life. And I don't think he's talking about bars at this point, gang. He is going to reveal surprising places where germs are waiting to make you sick. Hour number 3, Robert Lancaster is the man behind a very popular website, StopSylviaBrown.com. And in hour number 4, for one and all, we have tarot card readings with our very special guest, the official tarot card reader of the X-Zone Radio Show, Tara Green, will be joining us. And now, if you would like to get your tarot cards read by Tara, try saying that one little fast. Our toll-free number is 1-877-528-8255. Once again, 1-877-528-8255. And yes, she does play with the full deck. My producer tonight at Master Control is my good buddy Batman. Hey, Batman, nice working with you. And Batman, did you know on this day, April the 30th, in 1789, George Washington was sworn in as the U.S. first president? Yeah, he really had it tough. There was no previous administration to blame things on back then. In 1904, the ice cream cone was invented, and the two people who were most impressed, Baskins and Robin. And, of course, on this date in 1952, Mr. Potato Head became the very first toy ever advertised on TV. After only a couple of days on TV, they dropped their slogan, "This Spud's for you." Today is, can you believe it, the end of April already. Where did the month go? It seems like 30 days ago we were just starting this month. By the way, today is Spider-Man's birthday. Kirsten Dunst turns 26 today, and NASCAR's Michael Waltrip is making his 45th lap today. And Willie Nelson, believe it or not, is celebrating his 75th birthday today. And good old Willie insists the smoke is from his birthday candles. There you go. And to all the listeners of the X Zone Radio Show who are celebrating their birthday today on April the 30th, happy birthday to one and all from everyone here at the X Zone Radio Show, the X Zone TV show, the Talkstar Radio Networks, and our worldwide affiliates. When I come back from this 2-minute commercial break, I will be joined by my friend P.M.H. Atwater. We're going to be talking about her book entitled The Big Book of Near-Death Experiences, and I'm going to hold it up for our TV audience. And this is why it's called a big book. It is a big book. 1-877-528-8255 is toll-free. My name is Rob McConnell, and you're listening to the X Zone Radio Show, live and around the world from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. And we will return right here in 2 minutes. So whatever you do, don't go away. Don't get abducted by aliens. Don't go swimming. Don't do anything. Get a coffee and come back to your radio. We'll be back. Don't go away.
Take a step back in time and discover old Florida cuisine at Marsh Landing Restaurant in Fellsmere. Enjoy delicacies such as frog legs, gator tail, catfish, and swamp cabbage, or enjoy the more traditional cuisine like hand-cut Angus steaks, ribs, and seafood. Join us for breakfast with a southern flair featuring sweet potato pancakes, biscuits and gravy, and much more. Planning a party? Marsh Landing's private dining room can accommodate groups from 8 to 80 people. While you're visiting, enjoy the historic pictures, artifacts, and stories that line the walls. Marsh Landing is truly a unique experience. Marsh Landing Restaurant, 44 North Broadway in historic Fellsmere, or visit marshlandingrestaurant.com. Marsh Landing, Old Florida cuisine at its best.
This is Johanna Carroll, host of Dialogue with Divinity on the X Zone Broadcast Network. While walking along Kaanapali Beach in Maui this past year, I kept discovering all these shells and coral in the shape of hearts. My dialogue with Divinity was very simple. Do you want me to do a retreat to heal people's hearts in Maui next year? And of course, the answer was yes. As a master spiritual teacher, I am offering you a neat retreat called Rise, May 8th through the 12th, 2017, and the chance of a lifetime to rest at a 5-star resort for 5 days and experience a spiritual renewal of your heart and soul. Kaanapali is one of the top 5 beaches in the world. This stunning resort has undergone a $40 million renovation. I walked the entire property, checked out the room choices on your behalf, and I must say it is stunning. Our conference room faces the ocean with sliding glass doors. Maui is known as Mother Maui because it is a soft, gentle, healing energy. In the embrace of Mother Maui, you will feel yourself rising from the limitations of an ordinary life to an extraordinary journey of peace, bliss, and harmony. A greater sense of clarity. Our Rise retreat ignites renewal in the sacred elements of air, water, earth, fire, and wind. There's plenty of free time to enjoy all that Maui has to offer. A small deposit is required now to reserve your space, as this retreat, it will sell out. For more details, please go to johannacarroll.com and register today. Aloha, and I'll see you in mystical Maui.
Welcome back to the X Zone, everyone. My name is Rob McConnell. P.M.H. Atwater is our very special guest. Near-death states can be traced back throughout history, and they occur to anyone at any age, including newborns and infants, and remain vivid and coherent lifetime. And joining me to help explore the world of near-death experiences is P.M.H. Water. She is the author of The Big Book of Near-Death Experiences, the ultimate guide to what happens when we die. And P.M.H., welcome to the X Zone. How are you, my dear friend?
Well, I'm just fine, and it's such a thrill to be back with you again.
Oh, we love having you here. You're such an upbeat person.
You were giving that list of birthdays, and I happened to think Friday, this Friday is my son's birthday.
And how old is your son going to be?
51.
You had him before you were born?
You're so cute.
I try hard.
Well, I get to be 71 later on.
God bless you. 71, and you've been doing all this work. And
well, I'm not quite 71 yet. But yes, I've been doing near-death research. You know, I'm a field worker.
Yep.
All of my work is original, and I've been doing this work for plus 30 years. Ever since I died.
But you came back.
Yes, I did, 3 times.
PMH,
you know, when I look back at my own 3 experiences, I had 3 in 3 months in 1977, and I sort of lovingly call it the heavenly sledgehammer effect. You know, if that doesn't tell you what I was like before I died, I don't know what will. You know, it took 3 in 3 months to turn me around.
You and I were talking earlier this week, and you came up with something that no one else had thought about. And I'd love for you to share this with our audience.
What was that? Give me a hint.
Well, if we come back, we never do die.
Oh, yes.
You see, I remembered.
Well, I'm glad you did. I just got back from a trip to Tucson, Arizona, and I'm still a little foggy.
Well, I understand Tucson does that to everybody, so you're okay.
You're referring to the most oft-repeated phrase that near-death experiencers give or say after their experience. And that phrase is just 4 words. Always there is life. But, you know, if you look at that, always there is life, and really let it sink in, what it means is there is no afterlife. There is no before life. It means always, on some level, somewhere, in some dimension, in some form, in some space, we are always alive, living, in some way, very much us. It's like this promise of forever. That promise can really be counted on. It really is true. So if we look at near-death experiences or other impactful spiritual experiences, transformations of consciousness, Kundalini breakthroughs, you know, the whole genre, if we look at all of those and really focus on what they're saying, they're really all saying the same thing.
Which is?
That life is eternal.
You know, it makes a lot of sense. If we are energy, energy never dies.
Right. You can't get rid
right.
of energy. You can change how it looks. You can alter its frequency.
Yes.
You know, you can do all kinds of things with energy, but you can't get rid of it.
So why is it that society, philosophy, and religion try to sell us the concept that we die? Is it because of a lack of understanding?
Society is based on the death principle. Did you ever stop to think about that? Philosophy itself is about death. It's based on the death principle. So is society.
But you see, I think at PMH that we are still caught in the canons of days gone by where we did not have any knowledge of quantum physics. Einstein wasn't around way back then when all these people got together and decided that this is the way society was going to look at life and death in the future.
Well, you know, for the most part at least, we didn't have any real concept of the kinds of things we do now through quantum mechanics and quantum physics and this kind of thing. You know, we had no concept basically that everything is made up of something smaller and something smaller and something smaller. Right. That you know, once any kind of particles or quarks or energy factors have been in contact with each other, they can never be parted. It doesn't matter if they're billions of miles away, they'll react and respond to each other. we didn't understand then the things like the observer principle and all these kinds of things we now at least have some kind of handle on or some kind of appreciation of. So therefore, in our societies, we built up around survival. Mm-hmm. We built up around support. We built up around education and finally manufacturing and businesses and buildings and cities and governments. And step by step, our societies became more and more complicated. Well, in complicating the picture, which in some ways made it better and easier to live, basically, we lost track of who we are, what we are as people, as individuals. And in losing track of that, we became fixated on the idea of death. And if you look through our cultures, doesn't matter if it's the Russian culture or the culture in Kenya, Africa, or Brazil, or the United States, Canada, it doesn't matter what culture. It's all based on laws and rules and regulations and fears and beliefs that can trace their basics back to this thing of, ooh, what do we do if we die,
I believe that death is underrated. I really do, because I look at this lifetime. When I was born, April, many years ago, this is when this chapter of the book of Rob McConnell started. And when I pass into the next chapter is when this chapter will be closed.
Right. You just keep going and you keep going like the Energizer Bunny.
I need to get my battery charged.
Things like reincarnation, well, maybe reincarnation works like we think it does. Maybe it does not. But in some capacity, we do indeed go on and on. There doesn't seem to be any end to that in some form. The Bible, the Christian Bible, has a good clue for that really sets well with what we're now finding through research, or at least the suggestion of what we're finding. And in the Christian Bible, it says very plainly, we are gods in the making. And if you take a look at that, then you can compare it to what our esoteric communities are saying, what our different spiritual groups are saying and revealing, and that's the idea that we are co-creators with the Creator, that we are all divine beings currently living in a physical body on the earth plane, but our bodies are not our identity. They're not our true identity.
Well, in the Bible it said, and God said, let us make man in our image.
Yeah, and notice when it said our,
That's
O-U-R.
right. That's right.
Not mine,
no,
our.
That's right. That's right. And you know what? If we are created in the image of God, then we ourselves are gods.
Well, we're certainly gods in the making.
Yes. No, I don't mean to be disrespectful to any of our listeners out there. That is just a way of perceiving what is written, because I think that we have to stop and re-examine what was written, how it was written, when it was written, and the perception of those who wrote what we read as written.
Well, if you get that larger view of the various sacred texts, then you get this quantum physics kind of view of the world.
Yep.
You really do. I don't care if you're reading the Quran or the Bhagavad Gita or the Christian Bible. I don't care what it is you're reading. If you really look at what you're really reading and let it sink through, you're getting this massive picture.
Yes, we are.
Of what life is, what our world is, what our universe is, and what God may indeed be. So it gets very exciting. And, when I give talks on the near-death experience, and I just got back from a seminar and 2 talks and a workshop on the near-death experience in the Tucson area.
Partridge in a pear tree.
Yeah, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
I really like to stretch people's minds. Because that's where the research takes you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm not making anything up.
No, I know you're not.
If you just look at what we have to view, you begin to get this picture, this very massive picture of what life may really be, you know.
P.M.H. Atwater, I hate to do this to you, my dear friend, but
okay.
we've got to go for a news break. Please stand by. P.M.H. Atwater is our special guest, www.pmhatwater.com. And we're talking about near-death experiences. She is the author of the Big Book of Near-Death Experiences, the ultimate guide to what happens when we die. 1-877-528-8255 is toll-free throughout the U.S., Canada, Alaska, and Hawaii. My name is Rob McConnell, and this is the X-Zone, and we're live and around the world from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, on the X-Zone radio show, on X-Zone TV, Talkstar Radio, and on shortwave. Don't go away.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone radio show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember, 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
And welcome back to the X-Zone. My name is Rob McConnell, and we are coming to you live and around the world on the Talkstar Radio Network. 1-877-528-8255 is toll-free. That's 1-877-528-TALK. All right, you've asked for it. People have sent me emails saying, Rob, how come you're not doing the top 5 signs anymore? All right, X-Zone Nation, you want the top 5 signs? We're going to do them each and every night. Let me see. The top 5 signs your favorite pitcher is having an affair. Number 1, exchanges signs with the catcher, then the girl in the front row. Number 2, there's lipstick on his rosin bag. Okay. Anyone else notice his locker smells like Chanel? Number 4, has 2 cell phones labeled home and away. And number 5, declares his new nickname as Mork to go along with his Mindy. That's the top 5 signs your favorite pitcher is having an affair. And this portion of the X-Zone radio show is being brought to you by Amethyst Wild and her website, Answers from Your Angels. If you'd like to get your answers from your angels today, visit Amethyst Wildfire at www.answersfromyourangels.com or her other website at amethystwildfire.com. P.M.H. Atwater is our special guest. She is the author of the Big Book of Near-Death Experiences, the ultimate guide to what happens when we die. And is there any difference when it comes to a near-death experience that a child has to a middle-aged person to a senior has, P.M.H.?
The pattern of the experience is the same. Doesn't matter how old you are, and the after effects are the same. The difference is how a child handles that.
How does a child handle it? Does the child handle it much more securely and with more confidence than an adult does?
Well, not necessarily. It's sort of, kind of, sort of. A child compensates. A child does not integrate. They'll alter, they'll adjust, they compensate. You know, a child's job is to survive, to grow, and to learn. That's their job. They don't get around to integrating things usually until they're late teens or usually in adulthood.
Right.
like maybe 20, 30 years later. So a child doesn't make connections between how different they are or, how different the world seems to be, their different abilities. They don't make any connections between how they are now versus, what happened way back when. It's not until they get much older and then they're able to make those connections.
PMH, can we learn anything from a child's near-death experience that we can't from an adult's or senior's?
Well, I'm not quite sure how you mean that, but
right.
What I can say is with a child, I believe, especially a young child, is much more impacted by the after effects of the near-death experience than an adult is. At least it's more visible. We can see it right away, especially where intelligence is concerned. The younger the child, the greater the jump in intelligence afterward. That's one of the markers of a near-death experience. No matter how long the individual is without vital signs. That's no brainwave function, no breathing, no pulse beat. When they come back, there is little or no brain damage. The average time out, that is to say without vital signs, is from 5 to 20 minutes. That's average. Now, we know the brain must have oxygen within about 3 or 4 minutes, or there can be brain damage. Well, again, little or no brain damage with most experiencers. What we have, in fact, is brain enhancement. They come back smarter than they were before. Now, again, this is especially visible with children. We can get huge, giant jumps in intelligence in math, in music, these kinds of things to the point of genius and beyond. So, yes, we can learn that. We can also learn through how a child begins to handle their near-death experience because, they don't have the same before and after that an adult has. So many times if they're really young, they'll tend to imprint to the other side rather than this side. So they'll grow up feeling foreign, or maybe they were born on another planet, or somehow they just don't fit in. They don't realize that what they're feeling, the differences they're feeling, is really typical and normal to the experience. The average child comes back more mature, somehow wiser than they were before. The average adult comes back younger or more childlike after their experience, a little bit more innocent. So it tends to cross in that way. The adult comes back more childlike, the child comes back more adult-like. And that certainly is true. And it goes on and on.
Sure.
I would advise people just to get the book. They want to know more about children and how tricky and kind of different these cases can be. I would invite them to get my book, The New Children and Near-Death Experiences. And I go quite in depth, even further than I do in the big book of near-death experiences, about the child experiencer and some of the really kind of tricky things they go through. And I'm saying tricky again because, a child is not really in control of their environment. And because of that, what they face can be a little odd.
Now, what I'm saying, PMH, is, for example, adults and seniors talk about the tunnel. They talk about the learning experiences. They talk about their family meeting them on the other side. And some also talk about a deity. Christians talk about Jesus meeting them on the other side. Children who have not had the experience of the learning process where adults and seniors have, do they bring anything new? Do they bring proof that there may be life before life?
Well, as much as an adult does, because an adult brings that back as well. Children, if they're very young, seldom have a complicated or a lengthy scenario. Usually their scenarios are very short. Well over 70% of the kids in my research base usually only experience like 1 or 2 or 3 elements in their experience, and that's all there was to it.
Really?
Something like the friendly dark or the loving nothingness or a special voice or quick in and out of body experience, or maybe being met by a greeter of some kind, and that's all there was to it. It's usually not until around puberty that young people will have these longer and more complicated scenarios. But you know, I want to remind everybody that it's not the length of the scenario. It's not how complicated it is, or how magical it is, or how spiritual it is. It's the intensity. The intensity of the experience, as near as I have been able to observe, that's what causes or seems to foster the spread of after effects. And those after effects are just as physical as they are psychological. They're numerous after effects, a lot of them. So I really, encourage people to just start digging around in my books. And then there's phases, clearly 4 phases a person goes through, child or adult, in beginning to integrate or handle the experience, to begin to live with those after effects.
Which are? What are the 4 phases?
Well, the first one is usually the first 3 years. It's like you're still on the other side. You're still in that place, or it seems like you are. You're very evangelical. You want to tell the whole world there's no such thing as death, and God really is. You're the most loving, the most caught up yet in the whole experience and what it means to you. And then the following 4 years after that, that's when all of a sudden it occurs to you that, hey, you really are back on Earth. You really are living in a body again. There really are other people around you. And there's a job, there's employment, there's work, there's relationships, there's families. And it's high time that you started paying attention to others. And this is where healing gets very much involved, service, volunteering. A person begins then to really start to move back into society. And then, at the end of that 3 and 4 year segments, you come into that 7th year. And usually the 7th to the 10th year is when the individual has integrated the experience, or at least they think they have. That's when they tend to be the most down to earth, bringing it back down to earth. They're still very different. They still communicate differently, live a little bit differently, but they've returned to life as always, certainly in a more spiritual way, in a more open and broad way, but they're very much a part of the earth world by then, and being a citizen and going ahead with life as always. What catches near-death experiencers is that 7th year, which we often call the first birthday, is not over. We think it's over. We think, oh, by golly, we've finally figured out what to do with this stuff and how to live it, and what kind of person we're going to be, and how to communicate, and we've got it figured out. We're integrated. We're back in society, and it's working. It's absolutely working. We have a better life, and we feel better, and we've been able to put together all the puzzle pieces. But then at about somewhere between the 14th to 20th year, it's different with different people, then that 4th phase begins, and that really hits you. Most people it hits pretty hard. It's like they start having problems with money and hormones, maybe with their health, maybe in their job. They start to reassess their experience? Was it worth it with all the things they went through afterward in adjusting? Did they really, were they really able to do it right or in a way that feels good to them? So you're really reassessing. Are you losing your abilities? Were you able to bring heaven back to earth? Did you fail? How do you feel now about your experience after all these years have passed?
P.M.H., please stand by. We've got to take our final break for this hour. P.M.H. Atwater is our special guest. She is the author of the Big Book of Near-Death Experiences, the ultimate guide of what happens when we die. Her website is www.pmhatwater.com. Still to come on tonight's show, Dr. Harold Katz, Robert Lancaster, and Tara Green, who will be doing tarot card readings for one and all, who give us a call at 1-877-528-8255. My name is Rob McConnell. This is the X-Zone, live and around the world on the Talkstar Radio Network, X-Zone TV, and on shortwave from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. I'd also like to remind everyone that in the next couple of days, you're going to be seeing some changes on our websites. We're going to be doing some more changes on our X-Zone TV site at www.xzonetv.com, and we also have some new merchandise on our merchandise website at www.xzonestore.com. Now, if your organization has an event coming up that you would like us to talk about on the show, just send me an email to xzone@talkstarradio.com. Give us the date, the name, the place, and the name of a contact person. We'll contact you, and we'll talk about your special event coming up, as long as it deals with facts between the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology. I'll be back with P.M.H. Atwater as we continue right here on the Talkstar Radio Network. Don't go away.
In over 36 years in law enforcement, I've learned a few things. The most important is the proper gathering and preservation of evidence is vital to putting the bad guy behind bars. It's no different in the world of paranormal investigation. Whether it's the search for the afterlife, cryptozoology, extraterrestrials, and UFOs, how we gather that evidence of their existence, preserve that same evidence, and present it to a court of our peers will make the ultimate difference in proving the existence of worlds and entities that are beyond our imagination. Come with me on a journey that seeks to prove with undisputable evidence what man has struggled to believe for centuries. Join me, Larry Lawson, host of the Paranormal Stakeout, coming to the X-Zone Broadcast Network. Check out the broadcast schedule for Paranormal Stakeout with yours truly, Larry Lawson, at www.xzbn.net. For more information about me, my travels, and my team, check out our website at www.paranormalfbi.com or join us on Facebook at Florida Bureau of Paranormal.
I am Dr. Carl O'Helvey, founder, president of a new cancer foundation focusing on evidence-based physical, mental, and spiritual interventions, including natural cancer cures, prayer, meditation, affirmations, nutrition, and other related holistic cancer prevention and cure modalities. These are used in cancer education, research, and financing care. I ask for your help to continue this important work by donating at www.holisticcancerfoundation.com.
You're listening to the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net.
P.M.H. Atwater is our special guest. One of the many books that this bright author has written, The Big Book of Near-Death Experiences, the ultimate guide to what happens when we die. How many books have you written, P.M.H.?
I've written 9 on my findings, but many other books as well. Done a lot of research on the new children, today's children, the fifth world, the root races, the different esoteric traditions of God's plan for life on Earth. But I want right now to say again to your audience, I know I've said it to them before, so forgive me, but I want to say it again. The entire field of near-death studies has changed in the last 2 years because of 4 large clinical prospective studies done in 3 countries, plus just a plethora of papers now published in peer-reviewed journals.
Mm-hmm.
Today, the near-death experience is the number one choice of scientists worldwide to study consciousness itself. We now know that things like out-of-body experiences, the dead come back, visitors from the other side, otherworldly journeys are all normal and natural and typical to the phenomenon, and are no longer relegated to things like oxygen deprivation or the dying brain theory or hallucinations or any of those kinds of thoughts that these things might be causal. We now know that they're not only not causal, but the phenomenon that we connect with the near-death experience are not part of this at all.
You know, if people want to know about near-death experiences and if they are real, all they have to do is talk to people who work in hospices.
Oh, my goodness, yes, or nurses,
Exactly.
oncology.
Yeah.
You know, the whole medical field is just exploding. They're absolutely exploding. Did you know that today there are over 100 medical schools that teach classes on the near-death experience? Mayo Medical College and of medicine. All first-year students are now required to take a class on the near-death experience. So we've gone beyond the idea that this is imaginary or a fantasy or a hallucination or, oxygen deprivation or, people make it up.
It's real.
We're far beyond that now. And the idea of the old myths, the light at the end of the tunnel, people go through a tunnel, all these kinds of things. We now know that really is a myth in the sense that not that many people experience a tunnel, and that what we're really talking about is a very large type of patterning of consciousness, vivid, coherent consciousness that can occur at the edge of death or after a person has died. So, there's a lot of really good material out now.
PMH, we've just run out of time. You're going to be back in the future, my dear, because
really?
you are the number one when it comes to near-death experiences in my book.
Okie dokie.
PMH, take care of yourself, my friend.
To buy it.
Bye-bye now. www.pmhatwater.com. I'll be back on the other side of the news with Dr. Harold Katz as the X Zone continues live and around the world from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada on Talkstar.